Good morning, this is Alan Bird again from the Hair Elements Products. I'm here today to start our series from A to Z, why relaxers are safe and have been safe, and why this whole controversy about it causing cancer has been a nationwide, worldwide phenomenon. First, I want to start by literally apologizing for my industry as an elder, apologizing primarily to our professionals, the hairstylists. Because as manufacturers, these particular claims have come and gone. For the most part, the studies have come back saying that the relaxer association with cancer is null. However, this last time, the way they constructed the studies, we got hit flat-footed with this information about uterine cancer association, and we should have been a lot more aggressive throughout the years to knock down a lot of the smaller claims that allowed the bridge to still be there. And the first part of my exhibits, we're going to address those. We'll go through the history and basically let you know how we got here. Okay, we're going to start with Exhibit A, Blatant Media Falsehood, the WKBW headline. The progression from legitimate scientific inquiry to outright public falsehood is stark. What began as a breast cancer cohort research at the National Institutes of Health was later extended into claims of uterine cancer risk. Both stages, the same flaws were present. Methodological errors, cultural misclassification, and racial imbalance. Once lifted out of context and popularized in litigation, these distortions began a narrative in which relaxers became a proxy for scientific uncertainty, political opportunism, and cultural fear. What happened? On October 23rd, the Buffalo, New York ABC affiliate WKBW published this headline. It's long overdue. Local salons react to FDA proposal to ban hair relaxers.
The Food and Drug Administration is considering a ban on hair straightening chemicals. It's something that many say is actually long overdue. Research suggests that about half of the products advertised to Black women contain these types of chemicals, as compared to about 7% that are advertised to their white counterparts, and that's according to the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health.
This is false. The FDA never proposed banning hair relaxers. They never did. Its proposal was limited to prohibiting formaldehyde and formaldehyde-releasing chemicals in certain hair smoothing and keratin straightening products. Relaxers, which are alkaline-based and did not contain formaldehyde, were never the subject of the FDA proposal. In fact, as you see, the two published articles that the FDA put out about the hair relaxers literally had pictures of a flat iron, a person doing a smoothing action, and it literally said some hair smoothing or hair straightening products contain and release formaldehyde and chemicals. When such products are heated, formaldehyde gas is released into the air. Breathing in formaldehyde gas can be harmful and cause immediate reactions ranging from irritation of the eyes and throat and to coughing, wheezing, or chest pain to chronic or long-term problems such as more frequent headaches, asthma, irritation, allergic reactions, and possibly cancer. That has absolutely nothing to do with relaxers. Nothing at all to do with relaxers. The next frame they have, if you're thinking about using hair smoothing products, it literally says, find out if a hair smoothing product includes formaldehyde-related ingredients. It says, read the label. They even had the third one that actually says, as you see, ask your salon professional. Ask your salon professional if the product has formaldehyde and if they have an ingredient tip list or a safety data sheet. you can ask if they can use an alternative hair smoothing product that does not release formaldehyde when heated. Again, this is all about being heated. It's all about the vapors and the gas. But let's go back. It's long overdue. Local salons react to FDA proposing the ban on hair relaxers, not smoothing systems. See, that's the thing that we had to fight. It was basically a situation that was bound to happen. There should have been a lot more aggressive pushback. Unfortunately, the day and age with social media, it's hard to outrun the noise or the clicks or the virality of these particular posts. How we got here. So I'm just going to go over 5 different major areas of just an overall synopsis of how we got here. And we're not calling, this ABC News affiliate, any kind of maliciousness or anything like that. We're just saying that if the overall narrative is there, they thought they were putting in the right thing. Let's go over the first one. NIH misclassification. Okay. They basically took relaxers, keratin smoothing treatments, and pressing tools, non-chemical flat irons, and collapse it into one singular area. And I'll go over that in detail in later exhibits. That alone created so much confusion, because now you could be a person that hadn't had a relaxer, but if you straighten your hair with a smoothing system, or you didn't have a relaxer or keratin smoothing system, but you flat iron your hair, you would still answer yes to that question if you had uterine cancer. Cohorts originally designed for breast cancer research were culturally insensitive, because again, this was breast cancer research. Each one of the sister study that it's called, it's been assumed that it meant possibly black women. But sister study literally was your sister had cancer, so we wanted to talk to the sisters in order to see if there was some sort of hereditary connection there. Racially imbalanced. This study of sisters who had cancer, whose sisters had cancer, was actually 87% white, non-Hispanic. There was only 7.7% of the cohorts were black women. That in and of itself is a serious problem when it comes to the distribution and the virality of the answers. And incorrectly collapse relaxers into broader straightener categories. As we talked about before, the fact that they put all of these different products into one bucket, it just distorted the whole numbers. Scholarly overreach. Findings were cited beyond their scope, with NIH itself acknowledging concerns over miscitation and exaggeration. The biggest problem that we had, and what I found in my research, is the fact that they would just make a empirical statement. Sometimes they would back it up, and then when the times they did, when I actually went to the actual citation, it was miscited. It wasn't the actual information that was in the citation that they referenced. And in fact, 2 were literally the opposite. I'll get in that later. Litigation amplification. Trial lawyers weaponized these distorted claims, presenting them in sweeping terms, unmoored from science. Oh my goodness, we heard everything. The emotion, what I feel is the strategy to make it a racial justice type of trial where the science may be set aside because of the emotional and cultural implications behind relaxers and just black hair in general. And we want to get into that because again, it's about the science, and that's where we've got to have and rest our answers and our truth at. Political opportunism. Regulators and advocates seized on the narrative, framing it as a justification for broader policy actions. Again, we see so many different political and cultural narratives that are being interjected into this, to the point that it almost drowns out anyone wanting to speak up and say science, myself included. Things like self-hate for using relaxers, Eurocentric standards, things that for over 100 years, our industry proudly went from one style, one era, one trend to another. We made it hot. We made it what it was. But unfortunately, in the current political climate, saying anything against the potential victim is challenging. And that's why it took so long for me to speak out. And I knew when I did speak out, it had to be with as much science and as much facts as possible. That way we would be able to at least present the truth and hope that it gets accepted. And even if it didn't, the truth would be out there and we would have our story told. Why does it matter? The WKB headline illustrates the cultural and political consequences of distorted science. Public panic, like I talked about. False headlines triggering community fear and undermine trust in safe, lawful products. And reputational harm. The professional beauty industry, particularly Black hairstylists and salon owners, suffers the collateral damage when relaxers are equated with banning substances. And the loss of trust. Once a falsehood is televised, it takes on the authority of broadcast journalism, embedding misinformation into public consciousness. So what's the big picture? This is not an oversimplification. This was the dissemination of a factually false claim that the FDA intended to ban relaxers. The headline is the inevitable culmination of 5 things. The NIH's flawed framing, the cultural blind spots, exaggeration and litigation, political exploitation, and media amplification. At this stage, science is no longer guiding public understanding. Narratives are. And those narratives are demonstrably false. This concludes our first exhibit. We just want to hit you with a 30,000 foot view of everything that's going on. Just heartbreaking, because I love this industry. I have so many young ladies and young brothers that I talk to that are terrified. You know, their livelihood is at stake. And anytime someone did want to speak up, it was spun as they're just trying to make money. They're just trying to protect their pockets. Even manufacturers, the same narrative, because of the emotion that's been elicited when you see an older lady or a young woman with a picture of a mother, and she's concerned about the fact that she's no longer here because of what she honestly believes and has been told. So again, it comes back to us as an industry, as a responsible person that is an elder, to tell the truth. And that's what we're going to be doing, again, with empathy, with honesty, and with patience. So I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.